Today on the channel, we're looking at the old Gunnery Sergeant, the replacement for Gung Ho in 1986, Leatherneck, on Way I Got It Figured.
The way I got it figured.
What's up, figure fans? Way I Got It Figured. Back another I.Joe classified series review. This time we're looking at number 148 in the line, Leatherneck. Leatherneck came out in 1986 in Real American Hero. And there's a little bit of controversy with this guy in regards to his size. We're going to get it probably into that a little bit ourselves, but nonetheless, he is a well anticipated release. I think for fans of the 1986 year of G.I. Joe, there's always a little bit of excitement of getting those guys because they are one of the least well represented numerically anyway years in G.I. Joe Classified series, translating from a Real American Hero. In fact, I might even do a video on that that very fact, the years of G.I. Joe Classified series and where they map out to a Real American Hero. But that's a video for another day. Today, we're going to be looking at good old Leatherneck. So like I said, he came out in 1986, and he was a gunnery sergeant. Really, he was just his job was just a Marine, but he's a gunnery sergeant, and he was kind of the replacement for Leatherneck. They started doing replacement guys for different earlier characters, and Leatherneck was sort of like the high-tech, hip, new version of Gung Ho. And so, yeah, look forward to getting into him. So starting with the packaging, obviously he's in the universal packaging, and got quite a few things in his box with him. He even comes with an extra set of fisted hands, which I guess is really cool. You got really nice artwork for Leatherneck here on the side. Sergeant lapels. You've got his file card, and of course the QR code that just doesn't go anywhere. And then on the back, you've got some figure photography. Looks like you got dial tone back there. It was also from 1986, and of course this is a kind of a takeoff of the episode where they went to the restaurant on dates with these women and everything like that. I forget the name of it, but that's what's going on. Got some inserts here, and they even put the lapels on his shirt, and he's got a unit symbol on his arm. For combat symbols, it looks like he's got a 2 environmental specialist, 2 small weapons, light weaponry, 2 strength, and 3 jungle, environmental specialist jungle. I mean, I guess, I don't know. Those are some pretty low numbers, and I know not everybody who does these videos gets into, gets all in deep into the characters and everything and the numbers that they give them. But to me, these numbers seem a little bit low for Leatherneck. But hey, what are you going to do? I guess without just saying that, I would say the reason why I think those numbers are low is because Leatherneck in the comic book was sort of put on teams that were like the most like the best fighters. So like when they had the Battle of Springfield, he was on the team with like Snake Eyes and Stalker, like they're like the dirtiest fighters, the Joe team, Spirit, those guys. He's running alongside them. So I find it a little weird that he's got these lower symbols, but they did the same thing to Stalker. So what else? What do you want? All right, so we're gonna get old Leatherneck out, and I'll stop babbling. All right, we got Leatherneck out of the package, and he comes with quite a few things. So as you can see, he's got 6 accessories just right in front of him, and of course he's got his hat, and then he's got a watch and like a bracelet on, and yeah, that's all these things are removable in a sense, more so than like the belt or the vest. I don't usually count those, but he's got a good number of things that he comes with, and that's always cool. Him coming with the fists is a nod to the whole idea that he's a fighter and all of that kind of stuff. He's good at fighting. So starting with his accessories, he's got this backpack. It does look a lot like his original backpack, except it's brown instead of green. But it's nice that they did the paint app to give him the bedding is painted differently than the rest of the backpack. So that's cool. Good size combat knife. The original uh, figure came with an M16 with a grenade launcher on the bottom. So this is, I guess, more a fictionalized AR type weapon. And of course, the magazine is removable, so that's another accessory. Stays in well, comes out easy. And then he's got this M911-ish type, Beretta-ish type pistol. It looks similar to the one that came with Hawk, but Hawk didn't have this top stock on it, so I guess we're going to call this a new weapon. Don't know who else is going to come with it. And then, of course, we've got the 2 fisted hands. And I'm not sure if they're like new tools, but I'm going to say they're pretty much identical to the ones that come with Retro Card Duke. So there's that. Now looking at Leatherneck himself, he's totally he's not a totally new character. And so when you start to get into why he's so small, it's pretty much easily deduced. He's using the legs of Snow Job Airborne. So right off break, he's never going to be able to be that large. If these are conscious decisions by Hasbro, then they're just sort of saying he's not that big. Um, I don't know. Just like everybody else, I've watched all the source material and read all the source material, and to me, he always presented bigger. But we're getting a smaller version of him this time, and it's going to have to be accepted, I guess. One really cool, interesting thing that I would see here is on his hat, because he wore a Marine Corps hat, that the eagle that's printed on the hat isn't the Marine Corps symbol because they can't use that, but it is the exact same symbol that's on Gung Ho's chest. So it's almost like they're saying, well, this is an alternate universe version of the Marine Corps symbol. Other than that, he looks pretty cool. He's got still got his sort of radio that the figure had printed on his body. It doesn't come off of here, but but it's on the belt. It's nicely molded, and the belt itself is pretty cool. So yeah, there's that. So what we're gonna do next is get Leatherneck geared up. Well, actually, hold on. We're gonna also take the hat off so you can see his profile. He looks almost like a shot out Tom Selleck-ish type of look. But he doesn't necessarily have to be a super handsome guy. He just has to be Leatherneck. And I think they did a good job with it. So I think I can give the size of the character overall. I think I can give him a pass on that. But we're going to now go ahead and get him geared up and do some comparisons. All right, so we're back with Leatherneck geared up, and he definitely looks the part. I do want to caution that that little bracelet will come off pretty easy. It's not like, it's not solid. You can slip it on and off his wrist, so it will come off easy. When I was putting the gun in his hand, it came right out. Who better for comparisons than his 1986 wave mates? But we'll start with good old Lowlight. Lowlight was a 100% original figure at the time. Has only been uh, remade once as the Marauders version. Next up, we've got Beachhead, retro card Beachhead. Last but definitely not least, the G.I.Joe Commander Hawk version 2. So yeah, Leatherneck looks just fine with those guys. And so for one final shot, we'll have all four of the 86 guys together. I am leaving out Roadblock version 1 or version 2 from American Hero, but only because he's wrapped up with Cobra Commander. But maybe when I get around to that year's represented video, we'll have Roadblock back for that. But these guys look, cool. They're representative of a year, one of my favorite years anyway, of G.I. Joe, a Real American Hero in classified form. So I guess what I'm going to do next is put these guys away and get into some final thoughts. Final thoughts on G.I. Joe Classified Series number 148, Leatherneck. I think it's fair to say Sergeant Metzger has never. I think it's fair to say Sergeant Metzger has never looked this good, even though he's not 100% original. They did use good parts for him, and there's a lot of great detail that they poured into the figure. Yeah, he's not a big guy. I would have preferred him to be around the size of Big Ben. He didn't necessarily have to be as big as Roadblock or Gung Ho. In fact, Gung Ho is probably too big. But he is a bigger guy. However, making him this sort of shorter and leaner, meaner version, it has its appeal too. So I'm not gonna be all on about the size of the character. But what they did is nice. So yeah, I think I'm gonna give old Leatherneck. I'm gonna give him an 8. I gotta dock him for the size. I'm gonna hold it against Hasbro a little bit on that one. Um, Otherwise, he'd probably be a 9 figure. I really like this guy. I like what they did with him. Comes with nice accessories, and he's got a lot of nice detail. So I'm gonna give him an 8. Very solid release. Don't know when Dialtone's gonna come out in the United States. And I still got to get Xandar. I don't have him. So from this wave, I've only done half of them. And that's because I've only been able to acquire half of them. But have no fear. There's still plenty of G.I. Joe Classified Series content coming. Those guys will eventually be reviewed as well. And looking forward to future releases. That's going to do it for this one, though. So I'm going to sign off. Till next time, everybody stay safe. Happy collecting. See you on the next video. Peace.
The way I got it figured.